Welcome to Glowing Success. My name is Heidi and I am your host. This podcast is for beauty entrepreneurs. Join me weekly as we dive into the beauty industry's ins and outs, from business strategies, top-selling services, and taboo topics. I will be interviewing industry leaders with empowering stories and game-changing insights. Let's illuminate your path to success together. Let's jump into this next episode. Today's episode is so special because I am interviewing my husband and we are going to be talking about spouse support. So how your spouse or partner can show up and support you, whether you're in the beauty industry as a service provider, if you're an entrepreneur, or just anything that you're doing in your life. So whether you're just embarking on school, embarking on starting a business, embarking on a new career, it doesn't matter. But your spouse should be supportive, and we just share ways that work in our relationship. So I'm really excited for you guys to unofficially and officially meet my husband and listen to how our relationship works and the things that work for us and don't. So here you go. Welcome back to Glowing Success. I'm so excited. Today is such a very, very, very special episode. I am interviewing my husband, my partner, my boo.
I do exist.
And I'm so excited, you guys. So we are having this special Valentine's Day episode all about supporting each other, right? So whether you have a partner, husband, wife, doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what your situation is. That person is there to support you, right? And you're there to support them. So without further ado, I would love to introduce you to my husband, Manuel. Manuel!
Hey, happy Valentine's Day in the future. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. So we're both entrepreneurs in this household, and so that means we're both business owners, which is sometimes a unique situation because generally speaking, we just have one entrepreneur or one business owner in a relationship. So we have animals. So,
and we have animals.
By the way, we are recording this at my house, and we have 2 cats and a dog, and one of our cats is very specifically needing us. Come up here.
He's very supportive too.
So, Manuel, maybe you should just talk about your business. So, I would love your perspective and for people to kind of get to know you a little bit.
Yeah, I'm happy to share a little bit about myself because kind of like we were talking about before, I want to help people support their person that's in the beauty profession, beauty industry, and maybe if you are in the industry, know how to ask more specifics of your person. Because Hattie's right, we are in a unique position where like I got to learn my empathy as a business owner, being a business owner, and meeting you before I even started my business, years before I started my business. So yeah, I think that like when I first met you, I was obviously attracted to like how independent and strong you are and the vision that you have and everything. And I feel like who wouldn't?
Well, some people
if they do, they gotta go through me now.
Some people that's very intimidating, actually. So
that's their loss.
Before I met you, actually, obviously, I only had my business for a year before I met my husband. So like. So it wasn't a very long time, but I will say like even the little bit of dating that I did during that time period, I think it's you either like that about a person or you really don't.
Yeah, people think that we're selfish.
Yeah.
We as in business owners, people think the business owners are just selfish.
Yeah.
And I can see that get projected into like how people think that our dynamic is too.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you want me to share?
Well, maybe talk a little bit about your business.
Oh, yeah. So like we said, like as a result of running my business, I have learned, that radical empathy. And I feel like it's because I started Atlas Defense in 2016, largely to help people feel safe in a different way as an abolitionist would. They gave me kind of an uphill route
Mm-hmm.
As if entrepreneurs work is, as if entrepreneurism is already uphill, I chose a difficult way to go about this. And yeah, like, and it's not that I would change it either. It's just that I've noticed that, yeah, there's always gonna be lots of challenges and whatnot. And my experience as a business owner so far has been a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
2016 to 2019 were probably like the hardest, like, startup years, like 3 years there,
Mm-hmm.
where, as you all can imagine, Heidi supported our family a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I started my business, having come from living overseas for about a year and a month, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sight unseen, basically, like when I was coming back home, and yeah, that was definitely a really intimidating thing for me. But I think because we had communicated about, I think I told you I wanted to start a business before I left.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I think because we had communicated about that beforehand, you knew a little bit of like why I was going to leave.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't tell you everything else I was going to do, like buy your engagement ring with that money.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But I think that was probably part of like why I was so confident going into starting Atlas Defense. When I did get home,
Yeah.
was that like we had talked about a lot of it beforehand. I did try to get that business started when I was gone, and I'm glad that first version didn't work actually.
Yeah. But that's good for entrepreneurs to hear. So let's say
Yeah.
you're listening and you're thinking about starting a business, and partnership aside, all that stuff. But like, I just want to point out that sometimes your first go around at your business isn't going to be successful.
Expensive.
And it's going to be expensive, or it's going to be time consuming. So
Something,
just know that there is going to be hurdles, and the reason I want to point that out is just because this is something that, going down in your relationship, you're going to have to, get
Financially,
better
especially,
with.
yeah. I mean, obviously, like, finances are something that any business owner and my cat worries about.
Abby, come here.
But even more so, I think, when you're a business owner, because you're directly connected, like, your so-called productivity is directly connected to your stability or
Yeah.
to the outcome. And
Sometimes.
that, I guess that's probably more to the point of why I felt so confident getting started, that, like, yeah, like, I knew that you had me, had my back.
I was confident.
Yeah.
And I think that does help because, starting a business is tough.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of, I think when I first started my business, I had a lot of people telling me, maybe not a lot, but I had people telling me, and I remember I had people telling me that, I should stay with a job. I should stay with a steady income. I should stay with, or even when I went back into the beauty industry, because I dipped out of the beauty industry for a little bit, kind of got a normal jobby job. I got a job at a law firm, and then I decided to dip back into the beauty industry. And a lot of people even had something to say at that time in my life too, of like, wow, you had a really good job at the law firm. Like, what are you doing? And I think when you're starting a business or even coming up with the ideation of it, it's scary not only to us, but it could be really scary to your partner. So let's say you don't have a partner that is, or spouse that is an entrepreneur or business owner, like
But they got a
Abby.
job, yeah.
And to them, it might be a little scary. So like, they might try to talk you out of it, or they might just be pushing their fears on you, right? So like, I will say, if you're the person who's starting a business and your partner or spouse is, kind of giving you a little bit of the scaries, it doesn't necessarily mean they don't want you to do it. It doesn't necessarily mean they're not going to support you. But I think what they're doing is trying to assess risk, right? And unfortunately, when you start a business,
It's a lot of risk.
there's just a lot of risk. Yeah. And you have to just go head first into it. And unfortunately, there's no clear pathway how to start any business, really, because every business is unique in some ways, right?
And it's going to force you just to, like, relate to money differently, too.
Yes.
Than the way that you do personally.
Yeah,
And, like,
for sure.
it might be hard for a lot of people, be it the entrepreneur or the supporting partner, to, like, delineate relating to money on a personal level and a professional level. Because personally, if somebody gives me $100 because I asked to borrow it, I'm gonna feel like I owe it. Like, of course, yeah, I owe it back to them. I'll pay it back to them, kind of thing. But if a client gives you $100 and they read your cancellation policy and they cancel, then some of us that are a bit more aligned with money and the scarcity mindset might feel like, oh, I need to give that money back to them, even if I say no refunds. And like, that is probably what causes people to think that businesses aren't going to be stable if they start catastrophizing financially like that, just in their own mind. Like, oh, well, this can go wrong and you can get sued doing this. Like, all due respect to lawyers and attorneys out there, but like, if you got a lawyer or attorney in the family or anybody like that in your circle trying to discourage you from something, it's like Heidi said, it's because they're paid to professionally look at risk. And even if they're not being paid to talk about it or think about it, they're probably going to project some of that, be it if that's their profession or if they just have, like, I wish there was a better word for this, but like financial trauma. I think that, like,
you're pushing your fears on them.
Yeah.
And I will say, like, you're always going to fail. So, like, failure doesn't necessarily mean you have to give up on your business or your idea. It doesn't mean that you are going to never succeed. It doesn't mean, but there is always going to be failure somewhere when starting and running a business. Whether it be like a decision you made that was costly or a product that you actually
I had to learn
didn't
about
like.
that early on. That was probably one of the things I had to figure out about, like, how I was relating to money when I was watching. I was kind of participating in, like, in some of your choices about, like, the tattooing license thing, for example. I'm like, damn, like, that's a lot of money. And we decided not to do that, okay? But, like, that was me in my scarcity mindset back then. Like, back then, like, that number sounded like a lot.
I'll give more detail in a second here.
Yeah, but, like, you can say a number if you want. I don't think it's the bad thing to say a number. But it was an investment that, like, you could easily spend that much money going to the bars in 1 year.
Or just in general.
Like, that's something that we don't do as business owners. So, like, it is easier for you to take a risk like that and, like, not see a return on that investment either.
And sometimes you have to take those risks in order to know.
It's not a bad thing if we're learning from it. So, ultimately,
I mean, for me, sometimes I have to take certain risks in order to know if that's something I really am interested in. Specifically, my business, obviously service-based businesses are different in some ways, but because you also have a service-based business as well. But I will say, like, you're never going to know if you don't like a service or a product, let's say, until you try it, until you do it, until you dive into it. And so for me, like, I had to fully dive into, specifically, he's talking about, I went into microblading. So this was back in, I think, 2016, actually.
That was the year I got back,
and we had a lot of stuff happen in 2016 because we also got married. So much.
Arizona then.
So I went into microblading and it was really popular at that time, but there wasn't a lot of training. We live in Minnesota and there wasn't a lot of training here. I don't think there was any training here, to be honest. So I went to New York, so that was obviously expensive. I had to do a 3-day training in New York, so we stayed in Manhattan. And then when I came back, in order to achieve your tattoo licensing, you have to do 200 hours of apprenticeship. Well, at that time, permanent makeup and all that was not super popular here yet. I mean, it was popular in the sense of it was coming, but it wasn't popular in the sense of a lot of businesses have picked it up in demand. There wasn't like tattoo shops and like permanent makeup studios that were accepting apprentices, basically. So it was very hard for me to find apprenticeship. And when I did, obviously you're paying a higher price for it, right? Because of that reason. Like, there's not a lot of people offering apprenticeship, and that's very kind of new. And now there's a ton of classes that are in state. There's a ton of apprenticeship. So people are much luckier going into the field now. So anyway, what he's talking about is not only was it time consumption, so it almost took me a year to find an apprenticeship, but it was a lot of money. So we went to New York, I trained, so I had to pay for training. I had to also shell out a good chunk of money just for my apprenticeship. So overall, I think I spent over $10,000 just on that training. Now, I offered it for probably about 2.5 years. And then I just really realized that it just wasn't for me. I tend to be a little bit more of a perfectionist than I realize. And so it took me a lot longer to map. It took me I thought about brows that I did for like days after I did them. Like, this just didn't give me a lot of joy. So I stopped offering it because I just quickly realized that, like, it was very consuming of me emotionally and physically. So that's where he's giving that example of, sometimes when you're an entrepreneur or business owner, you're going to be making decisions sometimes that are not going to make sense to your partner or spouse, right? And so, I think the biggest advice we could probably both give somebody that's maybe on the other side that's not the entrepreneur or business owner is give that person grace and give that person some space to make those decisions and fail or succeed. But
And
like,
know what your boundaries are though too.
yeah,
Like, right? If your partner
I didn't put us
is
into debt,
yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, if your partner's putting you into debt, that's a different thing. Like if
right?
they're getting you to like open up credit cards
Right.
and run up lines of credit in your name because all their shit's maxed out.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the kind of relationship that you have, great, but that also sounds like that could be a bit
That's very
manipulative
risky.
and very risky, yeah.
Yeah.
So like also be very wary of like we know that we're amongst the plethora of other, millennial podcasts that can get into the entrepreneur stuff, but like at the risk of nothing against Gary V's of the world per se, but like you don't necessarily businesses don't start on credit cards.
No, you don't want to anyway. If
You
you can
really
help
shouldn't.
it.
Yeah. So like and
And
like
if
again
you
like
do,
maybe
you really want to have a pretty
Yeah.
size, like 6 month to a year
maybe it's a
action
product-based
plan.
business.
Yeah.
Maybe a product business does operate on more credit, but like that should be on the entrepreneur's credit,
Yeah.
or on the credit of that LLC that they got started,
That's separate.
and not
Yeah.
out of your partner's pocket that is working 9 to 5 because they're meeting their basic needs too. So like
Yeah.
again, like the way that we relate to money is gonna be different professionally and personally,
Yeah.
but the more that we notice, the more that we like try to notice that or put effort in noticing that, the easier it'll be to detach a little bit from whatever so-called failures that your entrepreneur partner, spouse, etc. might be going through. Because it's not even like I said, like the failure is such a is so
I feel like it's more
acknowledged as, like, a
learning than
bad thing, but,
failure.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
and like again, like as like woo as that might sound, like
It's just
you're
part of the
in a first
process.
world country, you're gonna be okay failing a couple times, like.
So one thing that I want to bring up is for me, and I guess you'll have to tell me how you feel about this, but I feel like I've gotten better about this. But I am very independent, right? So I'm an independent thinker. I'm an independent person. I've lived on my own before I met my husband. I've started my business obviously before I met him. So like I am used to making decisions on my own. So I'm not used to talking to another person and informing them or including them on my decision making. So I would say like, for a while that probably didn't bother you, right? Because we were very like I assessed my risk, that didn't affect our household, but I also was just making decisions how I wanted to. So even when I, add new services or products, I would just tell you about them and then I would still just make that decision. But recently, I feel like I've been more inclusive before I make the decision. So I kind of say, hey, because what I've noticed when you have that style is not only does your partner not feel included, right? So like he's made decisions in his business and didn't include me, and then I feel kind of left out. So even though like I have nothing to do with his business, right? Other than just being a supporter and, showing up to things sometimes, I still want to be included in that process sometimes. And then vice versa, right? So like I've been much better about thinking about that. So when it comes to making decisions, like I said, on products or services or even moving or just anything really, I try my best to bring it up to you first and say, hey, this is kind of what I'm thinking. Like, it's just an idea, or it's kind of just like something I'm swinging around. What do you feel? And like, I'll take that into account. But sometimes I'll have my idea set, and I'll be like, this is what I'm going to do. So whatever he says, I'm still going to do it. But I at least have getting better about my communication when it comes to, execution. And I think I've gotten a lot better about that. And I think you're getting a lot better about that too, because I do think like sometimes when you're in business, you have to just run with ideas. And sometimes like we always talk about this in our household of how we think we've had a conversation with each other and when we haven't, because we probably have had that conversation with ourselves in our brain, in our head of what we want the conversation to go like with your partner, because you're like, okay, I got to bring this up to them, but then we don't actually have it. So we are getting better about this, but I will say like, I think I've gotten better about bringing things up to you before I actually make that execution of the final decision.
The final decision.
So I will say too, like if you're listening It doesn't matter what side
Yeah.
you're on. Just know that, like, there's so many working parts. So let's say you're on the other side and you're listening and you have an entrepreneur spouse or whatever partner. You need to know that there's so many working parts to a business. So there's so many things that are coming up. Yeah, there's so many things that are coming up. There's so many things that are happening at the moment. There's so many things that we're thinking about. There's clients that we have to listen to. There's so much demand. There's so much money you have to spend. There's so many things. So the moving parts of a business can be overwhelming for the business owner themselves. So as a bystander or as a person that's experiencing it on the outside, it can just really seem like you're leaving something out and you're not including them. And, like I said earlier, sometimes you feel left out, but I just know that, like, that's not his intention. Like, whenever you tell me something after the fact, don't get me wrong, I probably feel left out or I feel like my feelings get hurt, but I know that's not what your intention was. Your intention wasn't to be like, I'm not going to tell Heidi this, right? Like, so I think, like, as long as you keep that in your brain and then just continue to work on it, that's all you can do, you know? I don't know.
Consent's everything. And, like, radical consent, too, in the way you practice it means that, like, we're always checking in. Like, just because we said that we're in for this for a long haul doesn't mean that, like, when we set our vows in 2016, that just, blank check for infinity. Like, we're always checking in on each other, too, and making sure that we, like, are still on the right path. Do we still want to be doing this? Do we want to do this differently so we end up differently in, like, 5 to 8 years?
Yeah.
And, like, exit plan for the business probably sounds like a bit premature for anybody to talk about in any stage of their career.
Yeah.
But the sooner that you talk about exit plan, the sooner that you actually do have, like, more of a shared vision with your partner, too, of, like, yeah, I'm busting my ass right now because I want to exit in 8 years with whatever structure your business, however that results in that kind of exit for you. Like, none of us are in this because we want to work ourselves to death.
No.
That's for the generation before us,
Yeah.
And we're trying not to replicate that. And, like, we can assume that, again, that we have that understanding so much that, like, we don't talk about the exit. We don't talk about what does it look like when we step away.
Yeah.
Or what's the next thing. Like, I also like that we always joke about what our vegan food truck's gonna be like, or like when I want to grow hemp in Colombia or whatever. Like,
yeah.
You gotta talk about those, medium and long term stuff too.
Yeah.
So because that's what unites you a bit more, I think, than
it brings you together a little bit
everything.
more. Yeah. Because realistically speaking, like, we're not in each other's businesses.
No.
And
the amount of people that think that I own your business.
Yeah, it's wild. Suck. So, like, years ago when I was looking for a space, I think this was back in 2016 when I was looking for a space. So from 2011 to 2016, I was mobile. I would go to my clients' homes. I was offering lash extensions and spray tanning at that time. Both of those services weren't regulated by commerce in my state, so I could do it that way. And then 2016 happened and they regulated lash extensions. And so I had to find a space. And so it was funny because we kept on looking around at all these spaces and they would always talk to him. And I was like, it's my business. Now, yes, he's here because he's helping me make this decision. But ultimately, I have the vision for how I'm going to be using this space. I have the vision.
Her name is on everything.
Yeah, my name is.
She owns 100% of Sapphire Spa.
Yeah, so, like, it was an interesting experience. And to this day, we still deal with it occasionally. Like, people talk to him rather than me. And then I remind them, like, he is my husband, but I am the business owner, so you need to talk to me. But I have no problem with asserting myself. I have no problem with that in a lot of conversations, especially with males. But I will say, like, there's that's an interesting dynamic, sometimes to be in too. But I think, the couple different tips and advice I have for navigating a relationship, whether one or two people are entrepreneurs, are you got to have patience with each other. Because the one thing I will say is, like, our schedules are never defined, whether it be days or times. We try our best to take certain days off every week with each other, but that's not perfect either. Sometimes we pick up things. Sometimes we have events. Sometimes he works late. Sometimes I work late. Sometimes I want to do something at my spa. So you have to be flexible to a certain extent, but you also have to set that boundary, right? So for us, we've had both of this. Like for years, I mean, I could work 7 days a week, 12-hour days, and I did, and it gets addicting. And for me specifically, I just have that mentality, but so, and I love what I do. So I will say, like, once you like what you do,
It's easy.
it's really easy to be passionate about your business. Like, you don't even think about time sometimes. So he was telling me, hey, you're working a lot. Are you going to always continue to work this much? And I was like, I didn't notice that, and then he grounded me. So I really appreciated that he was honest with me. I appreciated that he brought that to my attention because I probably didn't even notice it. And then vice versa. So now he's kind of that person where he tends to be working on days and times where I'm like, are you always going to work this day? Can we spend more time together? I will say, like, my love language is time and touch. So, like, I mean, my love languages, I should say. So, time spent with me is a really important thing.
Quality time. Yeah.
Quality time, yes. So, I think for me, having at least a dedicated set amount of time every week, ideally, is important for me. It fills up my cup. It fills up my relationship cup.
And that's the thing I think, though, like, any entrepreneur, not almost, well, just about any entrepreneur does have almost full control of their schedule.
Yeah,
And the
to a
person
certain
that you're
extent, yeah.
with probably does not have full autonomous control of their schedule.
Right.
So
If they're,
that's probably where the give and take comes too. Like, the person that has more control of their schedule probably should be accommodating the person that doesn't. And
Yeah.
like, if your partner is in a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday kind of thing, or maybe your partner works nights and weekends,
yeah.
that means that the entrepreneur does need to find a way to work with that too, because
Yeah.
like,
Put that on
control
your
what
calendar.
you can. Because like, if you can't control your partner's schedule, and you can control when you're booking clients or when you're fulfilling orders, whatever it is,
Yep.
then the bit of that responsibility is on you just as much as it is on your supporting partner to like
Yeah.
make it easy to be with each other.
And bring it up before it becomes a problem. That's kind of one thing I've learned too. I'm getting much better about communication in general. I think we're getting that tone in this conversation, but I haven't always been the most direct with my my communication, believe it or not. And sometimes we tend to think that our spouse and our partner knows what's going on in our lives, or knows what we're mad about, or knows just everything. And the reality is they don't.
Yeah.
And the reality is they're busy with their lives, right?
They don't see your whole day. Yeah.
No, they
I
don't.
Wish I could. But
I know that. We always joke around that we wish we could like put the person in their pocket. Like, we could shrink you down and put you in my pocket. But so, if you're feeling left out, if you're feeling, all these different emotions, and they could apply to so many different scenarios, bring it up as soon as possible, and talk about it, and really set some time to talk about it if that's necessary. But like, the sooner you can bring it up, the less likely it's going to become a larger problem, and you can actually find a solution for it. And, it's much easier then. And then, if you're the entrepreneur or the business owner in the relationship, time blocking is huge. For me, it works really well. Or for me, I go by my calendar like every day. I'm a minute by minute person when it comes to my calendar, because I'm still a service provider.
And me, like, I'll triple book something on my calendar and still let it happen.
But we're very different in some ways. So like, but I will say, like, so for him, I have to remind him, like, the day of. I say, hey, can you take some time off today? Or, hey, do you remember we're doing this today? Or, and it's not necessarily micromanaging, because that's probably what it sounds like, but it's more just like reminding.
Well,
and,
I also, like,
whereas I have to put something on my calendar, or else I'll forget it.
Yeah, you gotta know the strengths and weaknesses of your partner's communication style. Because, like, I have very bad memory. I cracked my head a couple of times. It's gonna happen. And, like, I struggle with being able to remember stuff. So, like, there's a gentle way that she brings stuff up and like reminds me of things.
And sometimes they're probably not gentle,
Sometimes
but
she's not gentle. But...
And then for me, I really like a schedule. I really like consistency. So like, I eat the same breakfast every day. I wake up at the same time every day. I pretty much work at the same times every day. Like, and I have like I thrive on consistency, and I thrive on repetition. And And some of that's because I am a business owner with anxiety. So like I think, repetition and consistency help my anxiety and help me have a balance. Whereas he's more spontaneous. Like his schedule is different every day. And so like I could not work like that. But we have to respect each other's ways of doing life, right? And we have to kind of understand what works for each other. And I think, we make it work. Like, I don't think it's perfect some days, and some days we get frustrated with each other. But like, I would say you always have to look at that intention, right? Like his intention wasn't to forget whatever.
Positive, yeah.
My
Assume
intention
positive
wasn't.
intent.
Yeah. So, all right. We've given some tips on being patient. We've given some tips on, if people are wanting to try new things or new services and how to like the partner can handle that, like decision making, failure, trying new things. What else do you think people will need to kind of know about being in a relationship with an entrepreneur or a business owner or somebody in the beauty industry? That's a lot of who's listening to my podcast is beauty entrepreneurs and beauty professionals.
Yeah, look for the details. Tell her she's pretty.
Tell she's pretty.
Birth control. Well, like,
Specifically for us.
Plan that stuff out, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like
Don't forget to date each other.
yeah, probably the unique thing about being at any level an entrepreneur being in the relationship is that there's gonna be some more spontaneity.
Yeah.
But try to apply that in ways other than how you accommodate your clients. Like clients like spontaneity or like always being available, but like so does your spouse.
Yeah.
So if you're doing something that like seems to be overly accommodating to a client and your partner's witnessing that, then they're probably not going to feel as prioritized unless you do something similar with them. Or I don't know, maybe like just communicate about it. Like if you feel like you're being left out because your partner is being overly accommodating to somebody else, then like just ask.
Yeah.
Like, hey, why can't you do that for me?
Yeah. Or I need this.
Yeah.
I need this. Abby, our cat, our boy cat, really wants to be involved in this podcast tonight. He is wanting.
He's our anger baby.
He is. We got that cat first. So I hope you guys listening got some good pieces. We know that we're a unique situation because there's not necessarily a lot of dual entrepreneur relationships out there, but
that's why we want to talk, because we want to be able to share the fact that like
our perspective.
Yeah, like empathy is feeling what the other person's feeling, not like treating them the way that you want to be treated.
Yeah.
Because I think that whole golden rule, treat somebody how you want to be treated bullshit from the Bible is outdated. Like people, I think we've established it very well by now that like a lot of people don't treat themselves well, either in the way they eat, the way they exercise, the way they sleep.
Mental.
So if you're treating everybody the way that you want to be treated, that could be kind of a low bar. So like again, back to consent and radical consent, like on a continuous basis, ask your person how they want to be treated.
Yeah.
And
what do they need?
And it'll probably change.
Yeah. And you know what? Sometimes they don't know.
Yeah.
Sometimes they are on a search for, you know what? I don't know what I need right now, and I just need space, or
Yeah, I think that's the last thing I would add is that like we also, I think, are notorious amongst each other for like. I think that we're also known for like being able to give each other space. Like some of my friends are like, oh, like your wife just doesn't care if it's your day off and you just go bicycling for 3 hours. I'm like, yeah, bro. Like,
I really like
she
my
likes
alone time.
It when I'm gone. Like that's okay, and like it's nothing personal, but like it is good for her and good for me too.
Yes,
so,
and
like,
I also
off are great, but
and I also will tell him when I need him a lot. You know, like.
Person.
I'll be like, hey, can you spend some time with me today? But I am the type of person that I decompress and I recharge by myself. And I am also the type of person that I am fine with doing things alone. Yeah. Like I enjoy my alone time. So, I think as a service provider, I think a lot of people can agree with that. Like we talk to people all day long. I entertain people all day long. I am always on at work. And so I feel like sometimes when you come home, you want that decompression and you want that quiet. Like I hear a lot of service providers saying this, like, I just want to be quiet and I just want to, so sometimes that alone time is necessary for me.
Yeah.
And
maybe that's why your entrepreneur spouse has not met all your friends or vice versa. Because like, we've been together for over a decade, and I know that there's like it's going to be a long time for us to get all of our social circles to really like interact with one another. And I think this is one of those ways. I'm going to tell a lot of my people to listen to this podcast too.
Yeah.
But it's also because we love each other, and like we're not going to force each other to like care about all the same things that the other person cares about, or like politically expect you to
Do
be
everything,
completely
yeah.
aligned with everything that I do, and vice versa too. Like,
Or just like even activities. Like
Yeah.
I like doing some things, but I maybe don't want to do them at the exact level you do.
I like doing things that might end me up in the hospital sometimes. Not that I don't like getting in the hospital, but I'm just saying like
He's
there's
more of a
things that
risk
have-
taker than I am when it comes to physical things.
This is the year of no hospital visits. So
but
like,
yeah.
there's different versions of what you enjoy doing that you can't be
Yes.
in the middle at. Yeah.
Yeah. And you're not always going to be in every part of that person's life. I think that's just normal for relationships too, right? Like we have to have our own identities outside of the relationship. And I think that's a good point. You have to have your own identity outside of your business.
Yeah, that's
right?
why I'm glad that
you have to have
only-
your personal life outside of your business.
Yeah. People pigeonhole Atlas Defense as like a firearms training organization because that's like a third of what we do, maybe.
Yeah.
A lot of everything else we do is de-escalation, workplace
defense,
safety,
yeah.
community defense, etc.
Yep.
But people assume that Heidi like owns a gun and shoots all the time, and I don't want to get into it too much because don't want to share more than we need to. Other than like Heidi's not a gun nut either. Like neither am I even.
Right.
But like that's a good thing though too. Like I like that she's not exactly like me. Like
Right.
every job that I've had, every school I've gone to, every military when I was in the military, I was never attracted to the people that did the exact same thing that I did.
Right.
Like even if it meant like going to the same school as me, I just wasn't like, ugh.
Yeah.
I already see these people all the time. Like,
So you like that, yeah,
So I like
having
people
a
that are
little
not like
bit,
me, yeah.
And I think like for me, like, you know, you have as much interest in what I do as what I want you to have. Like
Yeah.
I can wax his brows, and he knows a little bit about the services I do, and he's very supportive, but he's not necessarily going to sit there and dive into YouTube videos about, you know, whatever, and tell me about what I should be getting interested in, or telling me about the new trends on TikTok or anything like that. So I kind of like that there's, you know, a little bit of separation there. Okay, people, this interview, we could talk for hours, which is wonderful. And, you know, we have a really good communication like that. But at the same time, we are not going to sit here and draw you
for
guys out
Valentine's
for
Day, yeah, the only thing I would say for Valentine's Day, if you didn't get your partner something like physical, like a chocolate or whatever,
That doesn't matter.
like every day, just ask, what can I do to make your day easier?
Oh,
That's a
yes.
simple question.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to be the same answer every day.
Yep.
People like me, we like to think that there is one thing I can do every day to make your life easier, but it's going to be different.
Yeah.
And some days it's going to be nothing. But like that's an easy question. Ask your partner, what can I do to make your day easier?
Yeah.
Maybe it's packing lunch. Maybe it's just
Sitting by them.
sitting by them.
Sometimes I just think like I just
Yeah.
want to go home and sit on the couch right next to my boo.
Mm-hmm.
I want him to give me a hug, and I just need to sit there. And so sometimes it
Ask
could be
that question.
simple as that, you know. But yeah, ask that question, people. Doesn't matter if you're the entrepreneur or not. You should be asking that to your partner or spouse, and hopefully that helps
Mm-hmm.
you understand each other and give each other what each other needs to fill up each other's cups. Well, thank you for listening, everyone, and hope you got some good insights about how our relationship works and how we navigate as two entrepreneurs in a relationship.
Yeah, follow me on Instagram, Atlas Defense MN, and atlasdefensemn.com. That's everything else that I do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
I hope you liked that episode and found something useful or a tip that you can use immediately. If you are wanting more marketing tips, business tips, or anything like that, I have a lot of resources on my website. So I have PDFs that you can download for free. So look in your show notes. There should be a link in the show notes that you can click on, and it'll take you right to my coaching website. And thanks for listening.